Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on Monday, the 9th of October 2017. And here are a couple of stories that I've been following in the news over the last few weeks. And yeah, they just caught my eye. So I hope you're interested as I am. Here is an interesting little story about envoys in Cuba who have suffered a strange, mysterious hearing loss believed to be caused by a sonic emission, according to the federal government. And the update on that is that the US has expelled 15 Cubans, and Cuba is getting ready to expel some American diplomats, and all of a sudden, well, the Americans have said we're not blaming Cuba for actually doing the sonic sound weapon. What we're blaming Cuba for is failing to protect our diplomats. So what is interesting about the use of sonic weapons is that these devices could be used by anybody against anybody. So was this the Cuban government? Was this the Russian government? Was this the Chinese government? Turkish government? Armenian? British? Israeli? French? German? These devices could be placed into an attaché case, left somewhere, left in a parked car close to the embassy. With these kind of sonic weapons and energy directed weapons, we are definitely in the Star Wars world. We're at a point, a crucial point, I believe, a crossroads, because you just simply will not know who was the perpetrator of the crime. So no, my friends, we have definitely reached that spy versus spy age. I don't know if you remember in Mad Magazine years ago, there used to be this cartoon called Spy versus Spy, and one was painted black and one was painted white, and they were sort of each other's alter ego, because a German spy looked a lot like an American spy and looked like a lot like a Chinese spy. So, you know, they're all doing the same things, they're all trying to mess each other up. And I will guarantee you that every single country in the world has agents placed in every other country of the world, silently gathering information about traffic flows, air traffic, port specifics, general economy, observations, and they report back to their own country. This has been going on for as far back as we can remember. There we are, a picture of a traffic jam in Ottawa. And it says, compared with other Western countries, Canadians seem satisfied. Now, how many Canadians are we talking about in this poll? The online survey carried out in late March and early April among slightly more than 1,500 Canadian adults even indicates a rise in positive attitudes towards the conduct of elections and the role of the Prime Minister since 2014, when Stephen Harper was in power, along with a decline in political polarization. So 1,500 people have decided. That's out of 34 million people in Canada. Let's say 2/3 of them are adults. So that would be about 20 or 21 million people in Canada are being represented by 1,500. Well, I wonder how Google and Facebook are going to deal with this, because as far as I'm concerned, this is a fake news story. You cannot judge an entire country's mindset by asking 1,500 people, and we don't even know where those 1,500 people came from. You know, were this part of an affluent group, or was it part of a have-not group, or was it part of an indigenous group? Anyway, 1,500 people is not enough to conduct an accurate poll. I thought this was interesting. This is in Dubai. Great big multi-story building on fire there. Let me see, how many stories is this? 79 stories. That is a pretty big tower, caught on fire, and oh, look at that, it didn't collapse. Fancy that. Oh my God, did I say that out loud? Gotta watch those conspiracy theories, huh? Okay, this is a Ontario wage hike. Okay, we're going up to $15 an hour in Ontario. I think there are two steps to this from where we are, about 11.20, and the unfortunate thing is that when you put wages up like this, you put the squeeze on manufacturers, you put the squeeze on retailers, and so they tend to just put up prices to compensate. So really it's a net, and it doesn't solve the problems that you're hoping to solve, and it doesn't help the people that you are hoping to help. And just as an interesting little aside, if minimum wage are kept pace with inflation, minimum wage right now would be $32 an hour. Okay, so according to inflation, minimum wage is $32 an hour. That's what you need just to lead a normal kind of lifestyle where you can purchase a house, purchase a car, and take a vacation whilst you're working. So $15 an hour has a long way to go, and I'm sure that by the time that $15 catches up with $32, it will be, well, I don't think we can go too much higher than where we are right now. So all of these tricks that we're playing, you know, the guaranteed minimum income is the same thing. It's just not going to work. In fact, basically what it does is it just creates a larger tax base for the government to collect taxes on. Because every time your wages go up, you move into a slightly higher tax bracket. And so the government is going to grab quite a bit of that increase. And you, my friends, are going to have to pay more for your food in the grocery stores, more for gasoline, more for energy, anything that takes labour. Anything that's going to take labour is going to go up. Now, here's a funny little story. I thought this was kind of interesting. This is in Montreal. Okay, now you may remember that Montreal declared itself as a sanctuary city. Okay, which meant that all refugees were welcome from America. This was a knee-jerk reaction to Donald Trump's clampdown on immigrants coming from different countries. So there was a lot of immigrants who were already in the States who were concerned that they were going to be expelled. And so Montreal, in a fit of pique, decided to open the doors and welcome people without documentation. Now, I think basically, as Trump had been targeting Muslim countries, it really was mostly Muslims that Montreal was opening its doors to. But interesting enough, it's been mostly Haitians that have come across the border and taken advantage of this sanctuary city status. And so Montreal is now a city of, I think, about 3.5 million people. And they have 4,000 refugees have showed up on their doorsteps, and they're in a state of absolute crisis. They cannot handle an influx of 4,000 people into a city of, say, 3 million people. Now, we were going to reset our immigration quotas for 450,000 immigrants per year into Canada, and you can't deal with 4,000 coming into a city of 3 million. Okay, so if we're 33 million people in Canada, that's 10 times that amount. So any number over 40,000 immigrants is going to overwhelm Canada's system by the metric, you know, that's been created in Montreal. And of course, there's another funny little twist here, and that's why this picture has a woman in a burqa. Is that the Quebec provincial government wrote a law a little while back saying that if you covered your face, you would not be eligible for government payments or benefits. So you had to be seen clearly, and your face had to be exposed. So this has kind of put the city of Montreal in a kind of strange position where they have asked Muslims to come into their country so that they can help them as refugees, but yet if they don't take off their burqas and niqabs, then they won't be able to get government services. So yes, already you're bringing into question the religion. So I wonder, is this Islamophobia? Is this going to be a case for Islamophobia? We're going to have to see. Anyway, oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. I kind of like this joke in the Globe and Mail. This is Justin Trudeau, and he's reading the paper, and the person in this picture here is a guy called Jagmeet Singh, and he has just been nominated and elected to the leader of the NDP, the New Democratic Party. And so basically what Justin Trudeau is saying, light on economic specifics, but a powerful charismatic physicality. Like voters would go for something like that. Well, that's what we went for in you, Justin. Light on economic specifics, but a powerful charismatic physicality and personality. And you know, here he is, Mr. Selfie himself. Okay, he's broken every promise so far and tried to write it off as, oh well, things have changed and Canadians have changed their opinion, and oh, maybe he's been reading that Globe and Mail poll that the vast majority of Canadians, the 1,500 Canadians that are asked, are satisfied with our institutions. Well, no, we're not, Mr. Trudeau. You broke all of your promises. There's no electoral reform. You walked away from electoral reform. And of course now the whole pot legislation is becoming a quagmire. The provinces are all arguing, and now you've suddenly thrown into the mix a tax which you're going to collect, but you promise you're going to split with the provinces. Well, I don't think that spoonful of medicine is going down too well. You may need to add a little bit more sugar on that one. And of course here we have boldly backward into the dark. This is another story about the Liberal government, and I'm just going to read a couple of lines here. Pretty much the most stinging criticism that could be hurled at the Trudeau government will be that it has a worse record on openness and transparency than the Harper Conservatives. After all, the Harper government expanded its need for the message control to the point of gagging federal scientists. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, on the other hand, sold himself in the 2015 election as a modern leader who would part the clouds of government and secrecy and let in the light. So it's disappointing to learn that a recent audit finds the federal government's response times to access for information requests has dropped significantly since Mr. Trudeau came to power. News Media Canada, an advocacy group representing Canada's media outlets, found that only 27% of the requests for information it sent to various federal departments this year were answered within the prescribed 30 days. Okay, that compares poorly to 2014, the last full year of the Harper government, when the federal government responded within 30 days 41% of the time. And of course we've just had an Ontario Superior Court ruling that says in no uncertain terms that it is not for the public to explain to the government why they need that information. It is for the government to explain to the public why it's not giving it to them. And the Freedom of Information Act, okay, is there to hold the government accountable. And I'm afraid this is a brand new idea for our federal and provincial governments. Transparency? Municipal governments? Oh my God, watch our video on freedom of information and you'll see a year we've been waiting, 365 days for easily obtained information. So there you go, another strike against the Liberal government, and it's a dark day. It's a dark day when the Liberals close the books and close the doors. I love this one. Google and Facebook to tackle fake news. Okay, so how is Google and Facebook going to tackle lies of omission, like that poll, where you only ask 1,500 people and you expect everyone to believe that that is representative of the whole population of Canada. Who's going to decide who is the fake news? You know, I gave you the example of Catalonia. Okay, they want their independence. Spain does not want them to have their independence. So Spain, being in charge, you know, Catalonia is basically a province within Spain. Okay, how many websites would you think that the Spanish government would shut down because they don't happen to like Catalonia, no matter how valid the Catalonians feel that their cause is for independence? And this is what I mean. Who's going to be the decider on that? The federal government? Are you kidding me? You wouldn't see anything. Everything would be shut down because everything is suspect to the government, and the government right now is hiding a lot of secrets, especially about our native people and the records of the residential schools. That all has to come out yet. Harper wouldn't let them out, and now Trudeau won't let that information out. And one of the things I've been noticing, you know, this is one of the confusing issues that's taking place right now, is that we have left, right, and globalism. Okay, so what you're seeing is politicians from the left and from the right who are globalists. And so you see Obama, Bush, Clinton, and in Canada here, of course, Harper, and now Justin Trudeau, you know, all in favour of things like the TPP and the pipeline and all of this kind of stuff. And, you know, same with Obama. You know, Obama continued droning people. He continued the wars that George Bush started. These were all in an effort to be part of the globalist movement. And the globalist movement is exactly what it appears to be, a global doctrine of a single faith, a single currency, a single government, a single judicial body. The Codex Alimentarius is a single document that covers all of our edibles. Everything that we grow and everything that we eat will be codified. And so it's getting hard to really separate. You know, Justin Trudeau may have minor differences now to the Conservative Party, but the globalist agenda is still absolutely front and centre with both of these politicians. So especially the older generation, you know, who believe that they're voting for the Conservatives or they're voting for the Liberals, they're really not voting truly for either party. And whichever party you get in, you voted for globalism. Okay, I noticed that Justin Trudeau, for example, was over in Europe ratifying the CETA deal. This is the European Economic Trading Association. Okay, just as Harper sealed a deal, the Canada-China FIPA. As I say, they were both on board with the TPP, and now they're both working on the NAFTA deal, which is not unlike all of these trade deals. And you know, we don't really need a free trade deal. We already have free trade. Okay, individual companies that need to deal with, say you want to get iron. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to look around for companies that supply iron wherever they are in the world, and you're going to go to those companies and you're going to establish some kind of a deal that you can both work with. So we already have free trade. No, what free trade is this Orwellian term where free does not mean free, it means constricted, it means controlled. Okay, and you can tell this through the dispute settlement mechanism, where it suddenly gets whisked out of our sovereign courts and into a private court for adjudication. So this is where I think people are getting confused, and I think we need to learn this very quickly, that to call yourself a Liberal supporter or a Conservative supporter or an NDP supporter is a bit of a misnomer, because really all of these three parties have been sucked in by the entire globalism movement. So, fake news. How are they going to tackle all of this stuff? I think this is basically Google and Facebook and YouTube just shutting down stories that they don't like to hear. Okay, and on YouTube, I can assure you, the AI, the bots, the algorithms that they're sending round to try and sort out what is fake news and what is not are failing abysmally. And for the very simple reason that these algorithms do not understand nuance. Okay, they can't distinguish sarcasm from a joke, from reality, from real speech. It's just words, it's just noises to a computer. We are not just hearing those words, we are interpreting those words. I'm interpreting the look on your face, I'm interpreting the tone of your voice, I'm interpreting your body language, your posture, and I'm putting all of that into the mix when I'm listening to what you're saying to understand fully what you're trying to tell me. Okay, so this is basically, this fake news meme has come up as a way just to shut down things that they don't want to hear about. Okay, stories about Bitcoin, stories about Venezuela, and okay, here's a story for you. What are they going to do about this? What about people who write stories about this guy here? Okay, this is right out of the Vatican. Child abuse scandal rocks Vatican as charges laid against Cardinal Pell. Okay, the Catholic Church and the Vatican have basically dropped this guy like a hot potato, but this is no ordinary cardinal. He was the treasurer, he is the financier of the Vatican, so he is right up at the top of the ladder. So, okay, he's been accused of molesting children, choir boys. This has yet to be proven in court, and the update to that is it's actually in court right now. Okay, we're still waiting to hear the evidence to be presented, but it is in court in Australia right now. So if I do a story on this, like I'm doing right now, is that a conspiracy theory against the Catholic Church? Or is this a conspiracy theory against the Catholic Church by the Globe and Mail? Who's going to tell that? Who's going to decide that? See, we're getting into very, very, very dangerous territory when we start to second guess and to try and basically legislate speech. Okay, this is the same as prohibition. It doesn't work. It'll send stuff underground. It'll be even worse. It'll be even worse than it is now. And it will be more virulent because it will take on a mystique. So I sure wish that somebody would tell Google and Facebook to FRO and keep your nose out of other people's business and stop trying to monitor and police speech. Okay? So my last story is actually a very disturbing story. I read this in the paper a little while back, and this is about a sex ring in Britain. Okay, sex ring preyed on young girls. White women are good for one thing. I'll just read you the article. It's quite short, and I'm just going to read you what it says because I was stunned. Okay, a British sex ring that preyed on underage girls by plying them with drugs and booze was ratted out by a convicted rapist. The slew of sexual offences in Newcastle is just the latest scandal to hit the country, where authorities have reportedly turned a blind eye because of the accused men's Islamic faith. It's believed that the grooming gang had at least 268 victims. One of the men involved in the sex party ring made clear his disturbing views. All white girls, women are good for one thing, for men like me to FUCK and used as trash, Badrul Hussain told a subway ticket taker. The 37-year-old was convicted of supplying drugs for the pedophile parties. One 13-year-old girl told the court she was gang raped by the men, like it was a relay race. The girl would be picked up from a group home. Where's the monitoring? Where's the stuff? A girl in a group home was picked up. Be picked up from a group home, then drugged and raped. Early in the explosive trial, it was revealed that the cops paid an informant $15,000 to spy on the sex parties. The unidentified stool pigeon had racked up 50 convictions for rape and sex assault, including drugging and raping a young girl, then offering her to a friend. But the relationship between the rapist and the police handler was icy, and the informant later said cops asked him to take girls to the sex parties. Cops denied it. 17 men and 1 woman have been convicted in the sordid case. Older British-born Muslims would prey on the girls, inviting them to sessions and plying their victims with cocaine, reefer, booze and the stimulant methadone. For 4 years they preyed on vulnerable, frightened girls until 2 of the victims went to the cops. Chief Constable Steve Ashman was quick to shoot down any suggestions it took so long to smash the ring because of political correctness. Well, I am stunned. I am absolutely stunned. This was a real shocker to me, because really it is played down. You just don't hear about this kind of stuff. And here are the pictures and the story from the paper. So there we go. That is the state of the world today. Okay, so that's about it. I've caught up on all my news cycle, and well, we'll be talking to you real soon. And please like and subscribe below if you've enjoyed the video. Click that little bell so you make sure that you don't miss any of the updates or new videos that I put out. And please, you have yourself a great evening and a great week coming up. Take care now. See ya.